My name is Santa Ono, and I'm privileged to serve as the President and Vice Chancellor of the University of British Columbia. Please join us in the singing of O Canada, led by our University Marshal Nancy Hermiston, Director of the Opera and Voice Program at the UBC School of Music. Please remove your caps. Thank you, Professor Hermiston. We respectfully acknowledge the Syilx Okanagan Nation and their peoples, in whose territory we stand and are gathered upon today. At this moment, I would like to invite Amber Cardenas, a member of the Okanagan Nation, to sing the Okanagan song.
Okanagan. Atlea Haitam because our land is beautiful.
Thank you, Amber. We pause for a moment to give thanks, spiritual and temporal, for the manifold blessings that we share in this wonderful world, this great nation, this beautiful province, this splendid university, these proud students and their even prouder friends and family on this most joyous of occasions. Please be seated. Chancellor Gordon, honored guests, members of the Board of Governors, senators from the Okanagan Senate, faculty members, staff, alumni, and most especially you, our graduates, family, and friends, welcome to the University of British Columbia. What an honor it is for all of us to be with you today, to celebrate UBC's newest graduating class, the class of 2019. Let's hear it for them. You know, looking at the weather forecast over the past couple of days, they said there would be pouring rain. And I can tell you there were some sprinkles when I got up early today. And I was worried, but as you students started to walk up the path, the sun shone on you. It was something magical. So I'm grateful for that. And I can tell you that this is one of the best parts of our job. Everyone here on the platform, whether we're governors or administrators or deans or faculty members, this is the day that we look forward throughout the entire academic year. To be able to participate in this joyful, momentous occasion, this milestone in your life, is the reason why the university exists and the reason that we come to work every day. This day is all about you and about what you have achieved through hard work, determination, and moments of creative inspiration. Graduation is a time to imagine your future and the world to come. And when you think about the road ahead, you may gain perspective, we hope, by looking back to where you have been. We hope that when you do look back to your time at UBC, that you will do so with fondness. And when you do look forward, that you will see UBC still very much part of your future. You will always be welcome here, and we look forward to hearing about your personal and professional achievements as you build upon the foundation of your UBC degree. We also hope that you will continue to engage with us as alumni as you travel forward to new adventures and to new corners of the globe. Today you will be joining a robust organization of over 350,000 living alumni, living in practically every city of the world. So wherever you go, there will be a micro community of UBC graduates there with you. Connect with them. And one of the great joys that I have is to be able to travel around the world and to meet with alumni. And I have a chance to extend invitations to alumni and to encourage them to attend events where we bring faculty members and students and tell the story of what's happening at your alma mater. We really hope that you will remain engaged. As you begin this new stage in your life and your life experience, you can be confident of one thing. All of us who have had the privilege of watching you grow during your years here have absolute confidence that you will continue to succeed in good times and in bad. The fact that you've been able to succeed at a university which is one of the most rigorous in the world, one of the most respected in the world, is a true indication of your future potential. We believe that you can and that you will, with all of those skills and the totality of the gifts that you have, continue to make a difference for those around you, just as you have done while you are here. The other indication of what you will do, individually and collectively, is told in the story, the proud history of those who've gone before you, the previous graduates of the University of British Columbia. As you may know, 3 prime ministers of this great nation, multiple Supreme Court justices, Nobel Prize winners, and leaders in every sector of human endeavor have preceded you, and you will do the same. You will continue to make a mark and to make a difference to those around you. The diploma that you receive today is much more than a piece of paper. It's an indication not only of the knowledge and skills that you have received while you're here, it's an indication of your resiliency, your grit, your passion, your transformation as a human being and citizen. In his address to UBC's very first graduating class in 1916, it was a small but mighty class. UBC's very first president, Frank Westbrook, encouraged those students to do more than just focus on themselves and their success and the success of their loved ones. He encouraged them to dedicate their lives to making the world a better place, even for those individuals that they might never meet. It was a very high bar for those first graduates of UBC, and we, 103 years later, echo those remarks. We challenge you to dedicate your lives to touching the lives of others, those who might, through no fault of their own, be less privileged than you. We believe what we believe when we admitted you, that each and every one of you has the potential not only to succeed in your careers or in your lives, but to, in your own unique way, make the world a better place. You might have a local impact. You might have a global impact. You might have an impact on someone in a little school, or someone you might mentor who might, through their discoveries, create a cure for a disease that currently is incurable. Now, a couple of weeks ago, one of you, a graduating senior, contacted me and said, "I'd like to meet with you. I'd like to talk to my university president about what lies ahead, about the real world." And I asked him, "Don't you think that UBC is the real world?" And he said, "I'm not sure." And I said, UBC is a very, very large community. If you looked at the total size of UBC on both campuses, we are about the size of Nanaimo. So we are a large town or a small city. And the diversity of talents and ideas and cultures that are represented within this great university really is a microcosm of the world. And in living here and pursuing your degree, that undoubtedly, perhaps unbeknownst to you, has exposed you to what you will experience in the real world in the future. But then he followed up and he said, "I still want to have some advice from you that I can take with me from this day forward." And I said to him, honestly, I'm not sure I can say anything to you that will be very special in terms of advice, but since you've asked me twice, I owe it to you to try to give you a response. And at that time, I said, it would only be fair if I said the same thing, not only to that student, but to every graduating student of this graduating class. So here goes. Here's the advice that I gave that student. And so this is what I said to him, and this is what I say to you today. I said, I'll be honest. The days after graduation won't actually be that different from the days up to graduation. There'll be changes. Your environment will change. You'll no longer be in a community of lots of young people. You'll be perhaps in a strange geographical location, and you might have to acclimatize. to a different city and to create new friends. But on balance, you will have good times and bad, just like you have had up until today. It's unavoidable. May you have more good times than bad. But when life is challenging, or your spirits might be down, try this. And for those of you graduates, try this. Humor me. And also for friends and family, try this and humor me. Because if you do it, you'll appreciate what I'm trying to say in my advice. So close your eyes and think back to your first experience as I walk through a number of vignettes. And if you try to do that and you honestly try to transport yourself back to where you were back then, to how you felt back then, it will illustrate the point that I'm trying to make in my advice. For example, imagine the first time you had an ice cream sundae or a milkshake. We didn't have milkshakes when I was a kid. It wasn't until I was in junior high school that I had my first milkshake. One of the neighborhood moms invited me after I was playing basketball to come into the house, into the kitchen. She had one of those blenders, and she put the vanilla ice cream in, and she had whipped cream, real whipped cream, not the kind that you squirt out of a can. And she had this jar of very, very red cherries. And she made hot fudge sauce. And she had crushed walnuts. Here's this Japanese Canadian kid who never had anything like that before in my life. And I sat down, I put my spoon into that ice cream sundae with a warm hot fudge on top, with the cherry on top, and I put the first spoon into my mouth, and I felt I had been transported immediately into heaven. It was so delicious. Do you remember your first ice cream sundae? Do you remember the first time that you walked into a magnificent British Columbia forest as a little kid and you looked up and you couldn't imagine how high those trees were, and you went up and touched one, felt the bark, and you were amazed how large the trunks of trees several hundred years old were? When you were a little kid and you looked at those ferns at the base of the tree and the moss on the trees and listening to the birds and maybe a bald eagle at one of the top branches. Remember how amazing that was when you were a kid. Think back to the first time you went to an NHL hockey game. For me, it was the Montreal Forum. It was the Habs or the Canadiens. Maybe somebody here is from Quebec. But before I walked into that NHL hockey arena, I had never experienced looking down from way up high in a nosebleed section, looking at that amazing, pristine ice, seeing the Zamboni for the first time, watching the players zip around real fast, the sound of the puck with a stick hitting the puck and the puck hitting the goalpost, and the great rookie goalie, Patrick Roy, saving that. And they would eventually go on and win the Stanley Cup. I'll never forget when I stepped foot in that kind of arena for the first time, the sound of the crowd cheering on the Canadiens. Think back to your very first fireworks display. Remember how excited you were as a little kid? You were probably on the shoulders of your mom or dad. You were probably scared. It was way past your bedtime. Remember that first explosion of the very first fireworks you ever experienced. How mesmerized you were to see the shimmering lights dancing in the sky, in the summer sky. And in the distance, you could see fireflies blinking over a pristine green lawn with the sounds of a coordinated symphony providing background to what you were seeing in the sky. Think back to the very first time you rode a bicycle for the first time without training wheels. Remember how your mom or dad or uncle or aunt or older sibling were holding on to your bicycle seat, afraid to let go, petrified that you might actually wipe out and hurt yourself, but knowing that they had to let go because it was part of growing up. It was part of learning how to ride a bike. It was part of being a mom or dad. But remember how proud you were that first time you were able to actually ride that bike, and how proud your parents were and how they were videotaping you, and maybe you still have that video somewhere. Find it and play it. Think back to that first time you got your driver's license, the real one, not the prelude to the real one. Your sense of liberation, the time-honored step towards adulthood, that rite of passage. Think back to your very first kiss. I'll never forget it. Maybe you'll forget yours, I don't know. But think back to it. Think back to the very first time that you looked out of the window of a jet plane. If it was here, you could see the majesty of the snow-capped mountains of British Columbia. Or perhaps it was over the Grand Canyon. Or maybe you were actually standing next to the Niagara Falls. If you haven't gone there, go there. The sound, the visual experience, extraordinary. The Canadian side, of course, not the American side. Think back to the first time you went to the Houses of Parliament or the Big Ben in London, the pyramids in Egypt. Think about the very first time that you saw as a scuba diver or snorkeling the stunning biodiversity of a coral reef, something we should never take for granted because it's in harm's way. Or the first time that you walked in a tropical rainforest, watching birds of every color darting from branch to branch. What I'm trying to ask you to do as you imagine your first time in each of those different vignettes is to try to remember, first and foremost, your sense of awe. Your look of wide-eyed amazement at the wonders of the world. Go back on Facebook or wherever you might. Look at the old photo albums. Spend time with your parents and grandparents. And look at those photographs of you as a little kid. They'll never forget. Those images of your wide-eyed amazement are etched in their memories, in their dreams. It's that collection of memories that is the reason why they love you so dearly. Reliving those moments will likely bring a smile to your face, sunshine to a cloudy day. But beyond looking back, my advice to you is simple. Always look forward to new firsts. To never ever lose that sense of adventure, that sense of wonder. If there's one word I want you to remember from what I say to you today, it's the word wonder. When the world seems drab, as it will from time to time, as if everything is monochrome, or as if you're listening to something in mono, that is the precise moment to remember the word wonder, to push beyond your limits to experience anew something you've never experienced before. And in doing so, to remember the diversity of colors in this world, of ideas, of people, and cultures, the magic of a world in stereo. You see, the sooner you realize that the bucket list of things to do in this world is actually infinite, the sooner you will realize that there is an endless list of first times for you. Endless opportunity to view the world with childlike wonder and never be embarrassed to be childlike, because it is the secret of being forever young. If you do that, you will live a rich and fulfilling life. Godspeed and stay in touch. We will be rooting for you every step of the way. Congratulations, class of 2019. Now, today's about you, but there's a wonderful tradition at universities that is one of my favorite parts of graduation ceremonies. Every year at Convocation, UBC has the honor of bestowing its highest honor. It's called an honorary doctorate upon individuals who, in the opinion of the university community, have fit the criteria of excellence and eminence in their chosen field. These individuals graduate with you. They are part of the class of 2019, just like you. They are your classmates. They haven't been in your classes, but believe me, when you hear this story, you can see why we are honoring them. Now, why do we do this on graduation day? It's intentional. We've been talking about what you have achieved, and we've talked about graduation being about imagining your future. Here we bring individuals who are 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years older than you, who have had a little bit more time, more chapters, more innings in their game, if you will. And I've told you that we firmly believe that each and every one of you has the capacity to change the world. We believe in the power of one, each and every one of you. And it's amplified if you look at this entire group, this entire class collectively. What you can do is extraordinary, and each and every one of you can play a part. In honoring these individuals that are slightly older than you, the idea is that hopefully, in hearing their life stories, that they will inspire you and give you an example of what you yourself can do. Today we honor Rebecca Scott. She exemplifies these characteristics. She will inspire you and she will address you. I invite Rebecca Scott to step forward to receive her honorary degree. Mr. Chancellor, Becky Scott was an 11-year member of Canada's national cross-country ski team, retiring in 2006 as Canada's most decorated athlete ever in her sport. A 3-time Olympian, she is also internationally recognized for her advocacy for clean, fair, doping-free sport. She won her first World Cup medal in 2001. A year later, she won a gold medal in the combined pursuit event at the 2002 Winter Olympic Games. She originally finished third in the event, but was upgraded to the gold medal when both the winner and the runner-up were disqualified for using performance-enhancing drugs. The incident validated her previous efforts to maintain integrity in sport, beginning with her work in 2001 to help circulate an athlete's petition requesting the establishment of an independent drug testing body for all World Cup and Olympic cross-country skiing competitions. At the 2006 Winter Olympic Games, she and partner Sarah Renner won silver medals in the team sprint. She retired in 2006 with 17 career World Cup medals, ranking second in the overall World Cup standings. Even though her racing career is over, she continues the tireless efforts for clean competition as chair of the World Anti-Doping Agency's Athlete Committee. In recognition of her achievements, she has been inducted into the Canadian Sports Hall of Fame, the Canadian Olympic Hall of Fame, the Canadian Ski Hall of Fame, and was recently appointed as an officer of the Order of Canada. Becky Scott is also founder and CEO of Spirit North, a sports for development organization working to improve the lives of Indigenous children and youth through the transformative power of sport and play. Mr. Chancellor, in recognition of her extraordinary achievements in sport, for her tireless advocacy for fair play among athletes of all nations, and for her innovative commitment to Indigenous children and youth, I ask you to confer the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, upon Rebecca Scott.
By the authority of the Senate of the Okanagan University, I confer upon you, Rebecca Scott, the title and degree Doctor of Laws honoris causa.
Class of 2019, it gives me great pleasure to welcome, and please welcome, your classmate with an honorary doctorate, Dr. Scott, to give you some words of encouragement and inspiration. Please give her a round of applause. Dr. Scott.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is a real and heartfelt honor. Good morning, a very early good morning to you all, Mr. Chancellor, Professor Ono, Professor Buzzard, parents, family, friends, acquaintances, but most importantly, graduates. I am honored and privileged to have been invited to graduate with you. I like the emphasis on older. I like to think of myself as not that much older, but anyway, I'm happy to share in this experience, and I want to start by extending my heartfelt congratulations to you all, to the class of 2019. So. On this day of celebration, you probably thought I was coming here all the way to Kelowna to talk to you about success and achievement and all the ways and means and paths to excellence. But I'm actually going to talk to you about failure and lessons through failure, and in parallel with that, the critical importance of values. I know that probably doesn't sound like the most inspiring set of topics we could cover this morning, but stay with me, because I've spent a lot of time thinking about these things, and in particular how they shaped my own personal journey through sport and after sport. I grew up in Vermilion, Alberta, which is a small town on the northeastern side of the province. It's nestled somewhere between the world's largest sausage and the world's largest Easter egg. My mom and dad started the local ski club in Vermilion. They actually cut the trails there, and my home bordered the provincial park where the trails were, so I could literally ski out my back door. So for me, in the early days, skiing and sport was very much about family, and it was very much about community. I once heard a comedian describe cross-country skiing as something like alpine skiing with the fun taken out of it. I'm sure some of you will agree. But one could argue there wasn't much else to do in Vermilion in the winters. But you know, for me as a kid, it was great. I loved it. It was social, my friends were doing it, and ski racing and competing just became a very natural extension of all of that. I want to emphasize here at this juncture that as a kid, I was not a talented athlete. I did not have any special skills or abilities, and I certainly didn't have anyone pointing to me and saying, that kid's going somewhere, or that's going to be an Olympic champion. In fact, one of my favorite quotes was actually from my mom, who's here today, when the press asked her after the Salt Lake City Olympics, if you could sum up how you're feeling in one word today, would it be proud? And she said, no, astonished. So it wasn't winning races that drew me in initially, but rather it was the feeling of connecting to something outside of myself that was unique and exciting. And it was there that I found my voice and my community and my profession. So at a very young age, I decided that I wanted to be a ski racer. And for many years, I spent my winters traveling around Alberta and later on throughout Canada. And it was all going really well for a long time. And then I turned 19 and I made the Canadian national team. And I qualified to start racing the World Cup circuit in Europe. I was young and I was focused and fresh and determined and blissfully unaware of the disaster that lay ahead. Because the truth is, in those days, the Canadian team was one of the worst performing on the circuit. Only the Americans were a little bit worse than us. And I ended up marrying one of them, and he doesn't like it when I say that, but oh well, he's not here today. But we had been for decades before that, and there was even a running joke on the team that the only way you'd see a top result is if you turned the results sheet upside down. So it was tough going. But on top of that, there was this unspoken belief system that existed almost universally, which was that success in the sport of cross-country skiing at the World Cup or World Championship or Olympic level was reserved for the Europeans, for athletes from Norway and from Sweden, from Russia. We'll talk about those guys later. But if you were a North American, the best you could hope for, the top result you should go for was a top 30 in the finish. It was intensely competitive, and the depth of field was enormous, and it was extremely hard. And it was all compounded by the fact that there was rumors everywhere about the amount of performance-enhancing drug use that was going on and doping that was going on in our sport. So right away, right after crossing the threshold into international sport and cross-country skiing, I just felt this incredible double whammy of first being a North American up against these seemingly insurmountable odds in this European-dominated field, but also knowing that the playing field was very far from level. In spite of that, I still managed to qualify for my first Olympic Games in Nagano in 1998, which went more or less as poorly as they could have. I remember having breakfast with Katrina Lemaidon. She's a two-time Olympic champion in speed skating, and it was the day after she had won her Olympic gold medal. I had been 52nd in my race. And I remember thinking very clearly that I wish I was her. I wish I was going home with an Olympic medal and all the excitement and all the accolades and all the feelings of pride that must accompany that. But instead, I was going home with a handful of 40 to 50th place finishes and the Asian flu. Yes, a nice bonus. And I was utterly depressed because for the first time in my life, for the first time since starting my career in sport, I actually felt like maybe I did not belong. Don't worry, it gets better. But I will say that it was very hard at times to resist the feeling that I was a failure at the one thing that I had been pursuing since I was a little kid. And it was very hard at times to find reasons to continue to believe and reasons to continue to carry on. But I did. For some reason, I kept going. I kept trying. I kept picking myself up after every failure and every fall down. And I attribute that to the somewhat perhaps naive belief at the time that just because I didn't know yet if it could be done, just because it hadn't yet been done, it didn't mean necessarily that it couldn't be done. And until I knew that for sure, I was going to keep trying. And so that's what I did. And myself as an individual and our group as a team, we kept trying. And in retrospect, I think that starting at the bottom of the heap was probably the best place I could have started. Because first, there was nowhere to go but up, which is always encouraging. But second, because failure can be a fantastic teacher if you're ready to learn. And I was. And so it was a gradual process. It was fitting all the pieces together and pulling all the lessons and all the learnings and all the ways and means of improving and working hard day in and day out, year over year over year. But eventually things began to change. And we began the slow ascent out of 50th and 60th place finishes and into the realm of the top 30. And then it was the top 20. And then it was the top 10. And then it was 4 years later. And we were going into Salt Lake City at the Olympics of 2002. And for the first time, the Canadian team, the Canadian cross-country ski team, had a legitimate medal hopeful going into the Olympic Games. And that medal hopeful was me. No pressure. But actually, there was a lot of pressure. But by that point, I could embrace the pressure. I felt that I had done all that could be done. And I stepped up to that race with one thought in my head, which was, nobody knows yet that it can't be done. Nobody, not even you, not even me, knows what you can't do. So I finished that day in 3rd place. I won a bronze medal. And then the days following that race, we celebrated it like it was platinum. It was magic and a milestone that was history in the making, not just for me, but for my team. Every one of them now had that barrier broken. And every one of them now knew that from that point forward, anything was possible. They were thinking, if I could do it, or if she can do it, I can do it. A few days later, I got a phone call on my way to training that would become a defining moment in my life. The 2 women who had finished in front of me, the gold and silver medalists from that race, had tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. And over the course of the next 2 years, those athletes would go through a process of disqualification that would see my medal upgraded from a bronze to a silver and eventually gold. Yes, I am the only Olympic athlete to have had 3 medals for only doing 1 race. And no, I did not get to keep them all. I know somebody in the crowd is wondering that. I had to give them back. I got to keep the gold only. The second most common question I received during those 2 years after the one about getting to keep them all was whether or not I had known that the Russian women ahead of me had been doping. The short answer actually is yes. I had a very good idea. The common belief in cross-country skiing at that time was that doping was rampant, and it was generally accepted as an open secret in our sport. I remember talking to my mom before the games in 2002 and relaying my despair and my frustration about the injustice of it all. And she said to me, if you know there's a problem, and you're aware of the problem, and you're not doing something to change it or to confront it, you're part of the problem. Eye-opening, to say the least. But for the next 2 years, while I waited for that medal to be upgraded and for all the disqualifications and appeals to go through the court of arbitration for sport, I also decided I was no longer going to be part of the problem. Because I just couldn't reconcile all this hope and belief and faith that I had put into sport with what was actually happening in it and what was actually going on behind the scenes. I just couldn't stand by and watch and be a spectator. That decision was based solely on my values, and it set me on a path that landed me directly in the heart of international sport politics, which is a place of very powerful hierarchy and perhaps one of the world's longest-standing old boys clubs. No part of being a young woman speaking truth to power in those hallowed halls where sport is a massive and hugely profitable industry was easy or comfortable. It meant enduring an incredible personal toll at times. But I carried on because I knew then, as I still know now, what I was fighting for, which is the power that sport holds, the incredible potential that it has to do good, to transcend barriers, to bring people together, to tell stories of the human spirit like no other element that we have. But it has to be good sport. And by that I mean a place that we can continue to look for inspiration and integrity and values. a place that we can still look to symbolize the best of us. That is worth fighting for, and that is worth protecting. And we all have a role. We all have a role. In my life after ski racing, I discovered another way to look at sport, and that is through the lens of sport for social development, and as a means through which to address the physical and mental health crisis that is facing Indigenous children and youth in this country. Sport not as a way to excellence necessarily, but as a way for engagement and empowerment and education and opportunity. Sport is a platform to improve the health and the well-being of the most disadvantaged and marginalized children and youth in this country. So I started Spirit North. And it's an organization about health and wellness, but it's also about reconciliation. And it's as much about skills and fitness as it is about laughter and light and joy and creating opportunities that maybe didn't exist before. I often describe my life as having one foot in the dark side of sport, which is anti-doping and corruption and all that goes on there, and one foot in the light side, which is the work with Spirit North and Indigenous kids through Sport for Development. And anchored in the middle there is just me, a kid from Vermilion with a very strong belief in the importance of doing what is right and what is just and what is fair. Which brings me back to you, graduates, and the message I want to leave you with today as you leave this chapter of your life and embark on the next one in your journeys, wherever they go and wherever they take you. And the first is about failure. I said I was going to talk about it, and I'm coming back to it. But don't let failure deter you. Use it, embrace it, learn from it. Let it show you the ways and means of how to improve, how to be better. Don't let naysayers deter you. Walk proudly and stand tall against forces that may work against you. All those unspoken belief systems, they're just that. Stay true to your values and your beliefs. You are educated and you live in a country of opportunity and of freedom. You have a platform and you have a voice. But with that all comes responsibility. You have a profound responsibility to contribute to the greater good, because you can and because you should. This planet, this world, this society, these are trying times. Nobody has to tell you that, least of all me. And in so many ways and on so many levels, we need everybody doing their part, but especially you. So get involved. Find your way, find your path, and be part of the solution. And finally, as you go forward from here, beyond this platform that has been UBC Okanagan for you, be fearless and be courageous as you look to whatever's next, the exciting and unlimited opportunities that lay out there for you, because nobody, not even you, nobody knows what you can't do. So, thank you very much again. Congratulations to you all, and I wish you all the very best.
Wow. My name's Deborah Buzzard. I'm the Principal and Deputy Vice Chancellor of the Okanagan campus of UBC. What a wonderful remarks, Dr. Scott. Thank you so much for sharing your incredible story. I'd just like to recognize that our MLA, Ben Stewart, is in the house. I think he arrived a few minutes after the beginning of the ceremony, but I know he's here. And I want to recognize the tremendous support that he and his colleagues have given our campus. So, to the graduating class of 2019, congratulations. It really is a wonderful day. Your achievements are already tremendous, and you have all the skills, the professional skills, all of the networking skills, I'm sure, and your wonderful disciplinary degrees from the Faculty of Health and Social Development. You will make an enormous impact in the world. But your UBC degree is not just about tenacity or qualifications for a profession or a job. More importantly, it prepares you to live a thoughtful life, one of perception, insight, and dare I say it in this era of fake news, a life of rationality. You have the tools to flourish, and I have no doubt that you will. I know that you have already made a difference in the world, and let me tell you how you have done that. Many of you in this class were here in 2014 when you, the students, held a referendum. And you held a referendum which was called More Library. And you all know why you did that, because the study space on this campus was so cramped and overcrowded. People were sitting in corridors, on steps, trying to work together as groups. There were just simply not enough space in our library. And here's where you came in. With the guidance of our librarian, Heather Berenger, the campaign for More Library went forth, and the executive of the Students' Union rallied the cause. I met with class leaders, and you voted overwhelmingly to commit to an annual fee of around about $75, and the classes going forward would pay that fee for an eventual contribution of $10 million collectively from you. You've all been paying that. It's less than a cup of coffee a day, I think. But you have been contributing collectively, and you are the first class to graduate who actually have been able to see the fruits of your labor. Because in January, we opened the Commons building. And I am absolutely certain that many of you who are graduating today really appreciated that extra study space as you came towards your finals, to those team projects that you were working on, and all of those wonderful bookable study rooms, and the quiet study spaces, and the Comma Cafe staying open late, and all of the new space that was available. You have made that difference. You did it as individuals, you did it collectively, and together you have changed this campus forever. You have made a difference for all the students that will ever come after you here at UBC Okanagan. So you don't need to imagine that you can make a difference in the world. You already have. And we are so grateful. And I'd like to ask for a round of applause for our students who made that building possible. And I'll go back to our MLA, Ben Stewart, who, of course, as a member of the government of the day, was very much instrumental in what was $25 million of support which came to match the students' contribution to enable us to build what is a $35 million building. So thank you to Ben and the team. Yours is the last cohort to graduate that did not have the benefit of the building while you were studying here for the full time. So we thank you, and you really have paid it forward. Great universities are defined by their impact. And if you think about it, the major impact that we have is through the work of our graduates. And going forward, you will be the impact that this young university here in the Okanagan has. And I know that all of you working in fields of health and social work, kinesiology, you all have it in you to make your community and the world a better place. on behalf of the University of British Columbia and the entire Okanagan campus, congratulations. I wish you every success. Well done, class of 2019. I'm pleased now to call on Paige Copeland, a member of the graduating class, to make remarks. Paige.
Thank you, Dr. Buzzard. Mr. Chancellor, honored guests, fellow graduates, mentors, family, friends, and loved ones. On behalf of the 2019 graduating class of the Faculty of Health and Social Development, welcome and thank you for joining us in celebrating this milestone. My name is Paige Copeland and I'm a graduate from the School of Health and Exercise Sciences. I'm so very honored to be able to represent our graduating class here today. Although our faculty spans multiple fields and is made up of a diverse group of individuals, we're all connected by a passion to foster the health and well-being of those around us. During our time at UBCO, each of us have faced obstacles and setbacks that have made us question our abilities, whether or not we're good enough to be here. But we've taken that uncertainty and we've turned it into strength and developed the skills necessary to lift ourselves. Moving forward, we can take this strength and these skills and use it to lift others. As a human kinetics student, I've spent the last 4 years studying human movement. Now, I could stand up here and tell you all about how the human neuromuscular system causes physical movement and how essential this movement is for us, but they told me I've only got a few minutes. Instead, today, I'd like to focus on the importance of different kinds of movement we should embrace as we enter a new period of our lives. Emotional movement, which will allow us to adapt to change and cope with adversity. Social movement that will enable us to build relationships and opportunities for ourselves. And intellectual movement, with which we'll continue to learn and seek out new evidence-based practices. All of these movements combined, physical, emotional, social, and intellectual, will allow us to grow into healthy and successful nurses, social workers, and into whatever the heck us human kinetics students forge into the future as. Remember, it is these movements that have gotten us to where we are today, and when embraced, will take us wherever we want to go. To our families, friends, and loved ones, I would like to thank each and every one of you. I would also like to thank those who weren't able to be here with us today. Your love and support have been immeasurable, and I can honestly say I don't know where we'd be without you all. To our professors and the rest of the faculty, thank you for fostering an environment in which we could learn and grow into ourselves. Thank you for challenging us, even though we might not have appreciated it at the time. And thank you for the 5-minute grace period at the beginning of our 8 a.m. lectures. Fellow graduates, on behalf of Alumni UBC, I am honored to welcome you into the alumni family. You now belong to a community of changemakers and leaders that is more than 350,000 strong. Graduates like you who are looking to make a positive difference in the world. Visit the alumni welcome tent after our ceremony and see what it means to be a new member of the alumni family. Even if this is just a small first step in achieving your goals, take a moment to appreciate this immense accomplishment we've all made today. Be happy and be proud because we've made it. Thank you.
Thank you, Paige. I now ask Dr. Ananya Mukherjee-Reed, Provost and Vice President Academic of the Okanagan campus, to introduce the Award for Teaching Excellence and Innovation.
It is my great pleasure to introduce the Award for Teaching Excellence and Innovation. This award, including a $3,000 prize, recognizes outstanding faculty at UBC Okanagan as nominated by students, faculty colleagues, and alumni. The award highlights the importance of teaching in creating an outstanding student experience. At this time, I would like to announce the recipient of the Award for Teaching Excellence and Innovation is Dr. Sally Willis Stewart. Dr. Willis Stewart has been instrumental in education and research on health and well-being at UBC Okanagan. Her work here began in 2005 when she developed the Human Kinetics degree curriculum. She has continued to play a large role in building what is now a robust and globally recognized program. In 2017, Dr. Willis Stewart implemented the interdisciplinary HEAL 100 course, the first course to be offered across the entire student population at UBC. HEAL 100 introduces students to the community of health and well-being with particular emphasis on student health and its ties to academic performance. She's known to be a passionate teacher who strives to connect with students and instill in them both relevant knowledge and a skill set that enables their future academic success and health. Her impact further spans the faculty, staff, and student populations through the development of creative educational programs and engagement opportunities that are accessible to all. Beyond UBC, Dr. Willis Stewart provides service to many local and provincial bodies, fostering important links between the community and our university. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Sally Willis Stewart.
Thank you, and congratulations, Sally. The Governor-General's Academic Medal was first awarded in 1873 by the Earl of Dufferin and has since become one of the most prestigious awards that a student in a Canadian educational institution may receive. Today, we present the Governor-General's Gold Medal to the student whose academic record, in the opinion of the College of Graduate Studies, is the best in the graduating class for a doctoral or master's degree. This year, the gold medal goes to Ryan Hoyland. Would Dr. Hoyland please come forward? With an impeccable record and impressive leadership and interpersonal skills, Dr. Hoyland has distinguished himself as an exceptional graduate student and researcher here at UBC's Okanagan campus. His research is primarily focused on how the human body maintains the delivery of blood and oxygen to the brain. He's demonstrated that red blood cells send chemical signals that stimulate the brain to react to low oxygen levels. These findings open an important new avenue of research aiming to therapeutically manipulate blood flow to the brain. Dr. Hoyland has incredible research abilities, as evidenced by his extraordinary productivity. His research, along with his scientific travels, have led to more than 45 peer-reviewed published papers, 15 as lead author. This is an extraordinary level of productivity for a student. In recognition of his outstanding research record, Dr. Hoyland has earned a number of highly competitive scholarships, including the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada Postgraduate Scholarship and the Natural Science and Engineering Research Council of Canada Engage Grant. He also captured both the Governor-General Gold Medal for UBC's Okanagan campus and the prestigious Heart and Stroke Foundation Grant in Aid, and is a Mitacs Elevate-funded postdoctoral research fellow. Dr. Hoyland was also named UBCO's Student Researcher of the Year in 2018 for his work conducted at the Mount Everest Pyramid Research Station. Today, in recognition of his outstanding work as a graduate student, the Governor-General's Gold Medal is awarded to Dr. Ryan Hoyland. The Lieutenant Governor's Medal Program was established in 1979 to recognize post-secondary students who excel in their studies and contribute to the life of their institution or community. Starting in 2019, the Lieutenant Governor expanded the criteria and eligibility of the award to include students who have made an outstanding contribution to the promotion of inclusion, democracy, and/or reconciliation. In addition, for the first time since its inception, the award now recognizes students graduating from four-year undergraduate programs. Today, I am delighted to present the Lieutenant Governor's Medal for Inclusion, Democracy, and Reconciliation to the very first recipient from UBC's Okanagan campus. Would Gabriel Dix please come forward? Gabriel Dix has many accomplishments as a student: volunteer, scientist, advocate, and community leader. Graduating with a bachelor's degree in human kinetics and a minor in psychology, Gabriel completed a concentration in clinical exercise physiology. For his honors research thesis, he tested the effects of consuming a high-fat meal on pain and inflammation in adults living with spinal cord injury. Throughout his degree, Gabriel has demonstrated outstanding citizenship, both globally and locally. He has made several trips to Africa as a volunteer to develop sustainable farming and food delivery systems, working alongside international doctors delivering vaccines and health education in low-income communities and responding to medical emergencies. Gabriel's volunteer work at Kelowna General Hospital and his coaching with Special Olympics further demonstrate his exceptional record of service and leadership. On campus, he's contributed significantly to programs that raise awareness of mental health issues and that enhance opportunities for other undergraduate students to get involved in research. A recipient of the Canadian Institutes of Health Research Canada Graduate Scholarship, this fall he will start a Master's of Science degree in the School of Health and Exercise Sciences here. His ongoing contributions will certainly have a positive effect on the communities in which he lives and works for years to come. Please join me in congratulating Gabriel Dix on receiving the Lieutenant Governor's Medal. And now, will the candidates for degrees please rise? That's you. Mr. Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting the candidates for degrees who have successfully completed their studies and fulfilled the conditions that the university has set for them. The Okanagan Senate of this university recommends them to you for the degrees that will be announced by a representative of the faculties. As each degree is officially conferred, the Dean of the Faculty, and in the case of graduate students, the Dean of the College of Graduate Studies will congratulate the student. Randall Ferry and Lauren Godet, members of the alumni community, will welcome each student to the Alumni Association and present them with an alumni handbook. The candidates will please be seated.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Ryan Leo Hoyland. Dr. Hoyland examined how the human body maintains the delivery of blood and oxygen to the brain. He demonstrated that red blood cells send chemical signals that stimulate the brain to react to low oxygen levels. These findings open a new avenue for research aiming to therapeutically manipulate blood flow to the brain. Dr. Ryan Hoyland. Michael Kennefick. Dr. Kennefick examined which regions of the body are responsible for the preparation of simple and complex movements in humans. He found that effective movement preparation requires an interaction between multiple regions, including the brain, the vestibular system, and the spinal cord. Dr. Michael Kennefick. Jasmine Ma. Dr. Ma, with over 300 physiotherapists and people with spinal cord injury, co-developed an intervention that demonstrated one of the largest improvements in physical activity following a randomized control trial among people with disability, and is the first to demonstrate that a behavioral intervention can improve fitness in this population. Dr. Jasmine Ma. Matthew Stork. Dr. Stork examined the psychological and behavioral implications of high-intensity interval training for physically inactive adults. He showed that HIIT can be as enjoyable and preferable as traditional continuous exercise, and that music can be used to enhance people's psychological and physiological responses to HIIT. Dr. Matthew Stork.
Katrina Marie Plamondon. Dr. Plamondon studied how responses to health inequities align with evidence about their causes. Health inequities are unfair differences in health caused by how power and resources are distributed in society. She identified ways of thinking and doing to align knowledge and action. This research contributes to advancing more productive health equity action in research, policy, and practice. Dr. Plamondon. Glendon Paul Wiebe. Dr. Wiebe studied parents' accounts of their child's departure from the family's religious tradition. He found that parents respond to a child's religious change in diverse ways that uphold the values of both family and faith. This research expands the understanding of how families negotiate religious differences. Dr. Glendon Wiebe. Ryan Eric Wilson. Dr. Wilson explored the pre-diagnosis symptom experience of adults with atrial fibrillation, identifying the elusiveness of symptom awareness, the intense cognitive work of evaluation, and differing patterns of responses associated with an early or late diagnosis. These findings will inform early detection strategies to avert the negative consequences of untreated atrial fibrillation. Dr. Ryan Wilson.
Brian Hendricks. Dr. Hendricks studied the intersectional biopolitics of belonging in his experiences of disability. He found that racism, sexism, classism, sexualism, and ableism shape stories about belonging to justify claims over conditions that sustain human life. This research illuminates the ways thinking and speaking about who belongs and how they belong works to justify inequality between human beings. Dr. Ryan Hendricks. Erlene K. Roberts. Dr. Roberts examined the cultural environment of UBCO to expose hidden and unquestioned practices of ableism and offered recommendations for cultural shift. This research demonstrated that the absence of the representation of disability creates an expectation of normalcy and an exclusive culture that is unwelcoming to disabled students and scholars. Dr. Erlene K. Roberts. Sean Saint-Jean Roy Amand. Dr. Saint-Jean studied how child protection social workers are currently affected at work by memories of their own childhood experiences. This research helps us to better understand how emotional triggers, based on early life experience, influence a social worker's well-being and risk decision-making. Dr. Saint-Amand Roy Saint-Jean.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the candidates for the degree of Master of Science. Nikki Bruce. Emily Giroux.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the candidates for the degree Master of Science in Nursing. Lauren Erth. Maggie Bannerman. Lakara Rose Biddles. Suzanne Chenoweth. Danielle Nicole Ducharme. Michelle Suzanne Fleur-de-Lis. Madeline Bernice Gregg. Esther Kim. Rachel Evelyn Lewis. Michael Sandler. Colleen Dumanoir.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the candidates for the degree Master of Social Work. Angelica Alejandro. Meninder Miner Kaur Bola. Danielle A. Berube. Danica Dion Blow. Rochelle Renee Bowie. Gloria Cantle. Hoi Pan Cheng. Danielle Downs. Ping Flynn. Sabrina Neelam Gill. Skylar Gunderman. Lauren Jeffries. Stephanie Lang. Hannah Hillier Law. Megan Law. Jocelyn Marie Lynette. Jessica Holly McNeil. Mary McNeil. Tanya Elaine McKeegan. Janice Noseworthy. Verona Kathleen Jameson. Sarah Michelle Reichert. Brianna Shank. Rebecca Soyle. Annika Sherman. Geneviève Haley Patrice Leclerc Sellers. Gary R. Sue. Verity Teagle. Megan J. Humphreys. Courtney Alicia Vachon. Rhiannon Van Horn.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Human Kinetics. Adi Abdurrahman. Gabriel Akarodi Afalabi. Emily Amaral. Ashley Artuzo. David Barber. Ashton Danielle Baxendale. Molly Gabrielle Beauregard. Grace Elizabeth Bell. Riley Dakota Bentham. Hannah Claire Bourbon. Lindsay Berthelson. Deborah Bezoyu. Erin Brooker. Randy Butler. Justin Kabatuandu. Corey Calkins. Rebecca Chappelle Moss. Anna May Chen. Jeffrey Dennison Coletti. Paige Victoria Copeland. Paul Davis Cotton. Taylor Christophely. Sarah Jane Cushing. Joseph Eric Daigle. Brandon Dang. Dara DeMars. Gabriel Dix. Cara Dixon. Jasmine Dahl. Shelby Dumas. Cordelia Jade Elliott. Brandon Emsley. Emma Ferris. Alexandra Ferranato. Alexandra Kathleen Flatrud. Savannah Frederick. Partap Gozel. Carman Gruel, Alexander Gamuchian, Quintin Coneybear, Dom Haynes, Robin Huckaluck, Kendall Jensen, Ryan James Jerry, Nicole Marilyn Jinks, Harsimran Kalra, Stephen Coistra, Beatrice Landavade, Jonathan Lane, Mike Lee, Hannah Nicole Elizabeth Love, Francis Louis, Rachel Ma, Andrew McMillan, Sean McLeod, Adele Meddy, Adeline McCurry, Danielle Mitchell, Cassandra Moe, Catherine Elizabeth Motley, Rebecca Monroe, Alex Nielsen, Ryan Michael Niven, Carly Palk, Brandon Paraventes, Jalen Jerry Elliott Patsy, Claire Peachy, Terrin Penner, Sean Pilcher, Caitlin Price, Brett Prindle, Brandon Redford, Taylor Romanchuk, Joanna Rosnick, Gopinder Singh Sandhu, Ryan Sarazin, Jenna Marie Schmidt, Quintin Erin Cody Scott, Tyler Davis Shalansky, Wesley Aaron Shaver, William Sherritt, Mr. Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the University of BC Medal in Human Kinetics, Head of Graduating Class, Janelle Smurin. Megan Sternig, Liam Stewart, Liam Thomas, Olivia Tomlins, Daniel Vatathashiriel, Paulo Ventimiglia, Tyrone Wannenberg. Julia Watts. Megan Williston. Ryan Wright. Ryan Wright. Conrad Zielinski. Alfayed Ahmed. Dominique Ampt. Laura Marie Andrews. Jade Banman. Marnie Bruce. Samantha Burgess. Shelby Buss. Christopher Cadam. Wing Hoi Chan. Jenny Chen. Tamira Fields. Sophia Furlan. Jamie Gallo. Claire Halloran. Shaila Hossain. Karen Sai. Anika Hunchak. Hannah Juwani. Alicia Katra. Ariza Maria Karim. Sirina Keller. Rebecca Klecki. Ashley Larson. Cassie Laternes. Roxana Chavez. Hannah Leverton. Sarah Jane McLean. Shannon Morton. Jatinder Najjar. Kelsey Olson. Vanessa Pearson. Madison Playfair. Theo John Allen Popilachak. Nicole Powell. James Reynolds. Megan Elizabeth Simmons. Nicole Strawn. Abdul Rahman Saeed. Jacoba Taylor. Evan Maria Topolinski. Olivia Bridget Wallace. Taylor Welekalawa.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Science in Nursing. Brianne Abrahamze. Ms. Mr. Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the University of BC Medal in Nursing, head of the graduating class, Elise Rochelle Atchison. Nacha Amor-Piakrit. Alexis Rochelle Andries. Delaney Lynn Atkinson. Madalena Baya. Cheyenne Barker. Cassidy Benson. Justine Buller. Taylor Blades. Tricia Lynn Blair. Brittany Blocker. Bailey M. Bovin. Nicole Bratinga. Mallory Patricia Brown. Lauren Emily Bukowski. Sabrina Buziak. Nicole Byers. Chanel Carley. Shannon Lynn Carter. Julia Sherrill. Brittany Clark. Alicia Brittany Coleman. Christina Condata. Sierra Janelle DaCosta. Kylie Patricia McNaughton. Janelle Demart. Luke Dietz. Sydney Doncelar. Gabrielle Down. Cole Dumka. Kimberly Duong. Riley Beth Elko. Veronica Greta Marie Fagan. Matthew Ferrier. Okay. Jillian Lauren Filsinger. Mary Fiona Finley. Carissa Rochelle Fletcher. Angela Diane Foster. Christy M. Fraser. Derek Friesen. Alyssa May Gabini. Janelle Lee Garrett. Alexandra Nicole Gerard. Kennedy Francis Gordon. Megan Jane Grant. Sophia Luciana Gray. Taylor Dawn Ham. Rose Gabrielle Harries. Natalie Christina Hilland. Courtney Hoffman. Stefania Hazel Holland. Kyra Ann Holm. Alyssa Hope. Tamara Jade Horn. Cassandra Dawn Howlett. Carmen Alicia Huber. Demetra Ivanakis. Victoria Jeffrey. Emma Joan Johnson. Kennedy Jones. Julia Eileen Lee Ying King. Jenica Lynn Kosek. Sandy Lamb. Connor Langton. Mary Lee. Stella Lee. Kaylee Ann Lux. Sydney McEwen. Makina McNeil. Michaela Genevieve Marionette. Jontea Meyer. Oriana Marie Monegas. Tiana Monahan. Darice Bostat. Krista Nicole Monroe. Jessica Narula. Mackenzie A. Nazer. Madison D. Nazer. Georgia Norton Hall. Liam Paulson. Ashton Shante Pearson. Brianne Pearson. Kennedy Pedersen. Shannon Marie Perger. Alana Peruse. Bailey Hope Peters. Callista Danae Pickering. Kayvon Pormakatari. Emily Puffer. Stephanie Reimer. Anna Rebecca Risling. Raminder Singh Sandhu. Joanna Schaefer. Sydney Nicole Schindel. Victoria Schoen. Caitlin Elizabeth Scott. Patrick Shayball. Ethan Smith. Eden Stapleton. Caitlin Anne-Marie Steer. Kristen Steinke. Sierra Jessie Sweat. Melissa Tao. Brandon Tay Tashuk. Clark Taylor. Elizabeth Page Thacker. Hallie Mary Thomas. Solstice Lara Sarantos. Una Walsh. Kristen Wickland. Kirby Wildeman. Madeline Rose Wilson. Caitlin Wilson. Cassie Cairns Wright. Wen Tao Zhang. And Emily Zhu. Thank you.
Will all the graduates please rise? For those graduates who've crossed the stage today, as well as those who were unable to make today's ceremony, I hereby admit you to the Convocation of UBC. Congratulations. So as Chancellor, it's been my honor and great privilege to preside over today's ceremonies. You've all invested a huge amount of hard work, determination, focus to reach this milestone in your life, your graduation. You've had a lot of support along the way, family, friends, peers, and many of those people are in this hall today. So I think this would be a great moment for you to turn around and show your appreciation for their support. Let's give them a huge round of applause. And how about a big round of applause for the faculty on stage for all their support? So having crossed this stage today, you are now members of the Convocation of UBC, and you are in good company. Since UBC first began granting degrees in 1916, generations of students have crossed the stage, just like this one, to receive their degrees, and they've gone on to help build our community and shape our society. As alumni, your relationship with UBC is beginning anew, and you can continue to maintain your voice in the affairs of the university through your elected members of Senate, perhaps by mentoring one of today's students, or by participating in one of the many volunteer activities that UBC hosts both here at home and abroad. And as lifelong learners, of course, you will always be welcome to come back here and take a course or two. You might want to take a short break before you do that, but you will always be welcome to come back. And I do encourage you to stay involved in the affairs of the university, because you still have much to offer UBC, just as UBC still has much to offer you. So to MS, congratulations once again, and please be seated.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our Chancellor Lindsay Gordon for presiding over today's ceremony, and also President Santa Ona for joining us for this important celebration. Let's give them both a big round of applause. And also, we've enjoyed wonderful music here today, and I'd like to thank the Okanagan Symphony Wind Ensemble, led by Dennis Colpitz. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, this brings our ceremony to a close. I want to thank you all for joining us today, and hope that you have enjoyed it as much as I, and that all of you are able to join us for refreshments, which will be served immediately following the ceremony in the courtyard at the alumni tent. We would kindly request that guests remain in their places while the academic processions leave the building. But before we begin the procession, we have one more big moment. Parents, families, supporters, and friends, get your cameras ready. This is the big photo op. It is a time-honored tradition known as the cap toss. Some parents have been waiting since you were born for this moment. You have been waiting years to have the opportunity to do this, so let's get this right. The key to a successful cap toss are synchronization and altitude. I will leave the altitude to you, but to ensure that we are all in sync, I will lead you with a prompt. We do not want any premature decapitulation. Will the graduates please rise one more time to prepare for the toss? Please remove your caps, but hold on to them and do not toss them yet. In a moment, I will wish you one final congratulations on behalf of the University of British Columbia. And when I say the word Columbia, that will be your cue to toss your caps high into the air. And parents, that's your cue to start snapping photos and videos. Is everyone ready? Here we go. Mr. Chancellor, President Ono, dignitaries, family, friends, please join me in congratulating once again the wonderful, remarkable 2019 graduates of the University of British Columbia.